So students, we have taken the viscera. This viscera, I think they are pretty familiar to you because it has been already discussed. This is what is this viscera? This is the sagittal section of head and neck region. It is the right half of it, and we can see here we will see here also, and this viscera you have already seen this in your tongue or pharynx class, I think. This is a composite viscera containing mainly the tongue, pharynx and larynx. Pharynx and larynx. It has been cut out from its posterior aspect. We will see later on. So we will see larynx in both these two viscera. First of all, we are seeing this. In this viscera, you can make out this is epiglottis. This is epiglottis. We can see this is epiglottis. This is one of the unpaired cartilages you can see here. And what is the extent of larynx? From the upper border of epiglottis, the larynx extend. You can see here, I have cut open the posterior aspect of the larynx, posterior wall of the larynx. So we now are in the cavity of larynx. So up to which the larynx extend? Larynx extends up to lower border of cricoid cartilage. I hope you can see here. This is the cut end of the posterior lamina of cricoid cartilage, and this will be the lower border of it. So the larynx or laryngeal cavity extends from the upper border of epiglottis to the lower border of cricoid cartilage. This one is the cricoid cartilage, the broad posterior lamina. Now if we see in this viscera, there are, we can see here, this is epiglottis. This is epiglottis. Just behind the tongue, you can see here, this is epiglottis. And you can make out that this is larynx. You know larynx and pharynx are just like tube within a tube. So larynx is the front tube and pharynx is the back tube. So we can see here, this is the laryngeal cavity. So extent of larynx again, upper border of epiglottis to here you can see, I think better, the brown cricoid cartilage. This is the posterior lamina. So up to the lower border of cricoid cartilage, this is the extent of larynx. And if we go back, we can see the vertebral level here. This is atlas, anterior arch of atlas. This large one is the odontoid process of the second vertebra, that is the axis, C2. So third cervical, fourth, fifth and sixth. So up to the lower border of the sixth cervical vertebra is the, so the extent of larynx is related posteriorly to the third, fourth and fifth and sixth vertebra, cervical vertebra. Now we can see here that the cavity, before going to cavity, we can see what are the cartilages we can make out from this viscera. This is epiglottis, I have told you. Now epiglottis, and what about thyroid? We should see it from front. This is the two broad laminae of thyroid cartilages. You can see here, it is very good here. This is the upper border. This is the anterior that is a angle where the two anterior borders of the lamina meet. And so this is the thyroid cartilage we can see here. And what about the cricoid cartilage? Just below the thyroid cartilage, we can feel here the cricoid cartilage here. This is the anterior arch of cricoid. You have to palpate here, and we can, if we go posteriorly, we can see the broad lamina of the cricoid cartilage. Now in this viscera you can see the cut section of, this is the cut section of the brown one, the cut section of the thyroid cartilage, and below that this is the anterior arch of cricoid, and this is the posterior lamina of cricoid. Posterior lamina of cricoid, anterior arch and posterior lamina of cricoid. Now what about the other cartilages? Now you have to palpate for that. Just above the posterior lamina of cricoid, you can palpate here, I think I can palpate here the arytenoid cartilages, the pyramid shaped cartilage I have told you, we can palpate here, and just above that we can see here the two folds. What folds? From arytenoid to the lower part of the lateral border of epiglottis, we can see here this is the aryepiglottic fold. Aryepiglottic fold. So within this aryepiglottic fold there are other two cartilages, that is small corniculate and cuneiform cartilages will be in this. Now we are going to the cavity of larynx. Now I have told you the tube within a tube you can make out from here. In anatomical position it was like that. This is the part of the pharynx. So it is the larger tube. We have first cut open the posterior wall of the pharynx. Then within that the smaller tube is there. That smaller tube is the larynx. So we have again cut open the posterior aspect of larynx. So I think you can make out here tube within a tube. Now here within the cavity of larynx we can see we have told you that this is epiglottis, upper border of epiglottis. Epiglottis is connected to the tongue by median glossoepiglottic fold and by one pair of lateral glossoepiglottic fold. You have to just stretch it a bit posteriorly, then you can make out clearly that there is median glossoepiglottic fold and two lateral glossoepiglottic folds, and in between that there are two vallicula. There are two vallicula present. So this is one vallicula and this one is the another one. So after that we can go to the posterior surface of epiglottis, and here you can make that this is the tubercle of epiglottis. This prominent one is the tubercle of epiglottis, and the lateral border of epiglottis, lower part, as I have told you, is connected by the aryepiglottic fold to the arytenoid, apex of the arytenoid cartilages. So here we have come across the laryngeal inlet. It is bounded in front by the upper border of epiglottis. It is an oblique one, as you can make. It is an oblique one. The direction is downwards and backwards, and anteriorly it is bounded by the upper border of the epiglottis, posteriorly bounded by interarytenoid fold, which we have already cut open, because two arytenoids will be connected by one fold. That will be interarytenoid fold, that is the posterior boundary of laryngeal inlet, and on both sides it is bounded by aryepiglottic folds. So what do you mean by aryepiglottic fold? As I have told you that aryepiglottic fold is it contains two muscles, two cartilages and one ligament, or you can say it is the upper thickened border of one intrinsic membrane. What are those two cartilages I have told you? Corniculate and cuneiform cartilage. There are two muscles within that, aryepiglotticus muscle and aryepiglotticus muscle from arytenoid to epiglottis. So aryepiglotticus muscle, and one muscle is there from thyroid cartilage to epiglottis, that is thyroepiglotticus muscle. The main muscle of laryngeal inlet is aryepiglotticus. When it contracts, the two arytenoid will be opposed to the tubercle of epiglottis. They will be opposed to the tubercle of epiglottis, by which the laryngeal inlet is closed, and when it is closed, in the second phase of deglutition, when the food will go from the oropharynx to the lateral food channel, that is the pyriform fossa. You can make out here, if we stretch the aryepiglottic fold, these channels are pyriform fossa. These are lateral foot channel or pyriform fossa, where from the oropharynx the food will slip and enter into the lateral foot channel in the second phase of deglutition, and here the laryngeal inlet is closed to prevent the entry of food into the laryngeal cavity. Now we are going within the cavity. So you can see here within the cavity we can see there are two folds. This is one fold. Just you can see here there are eye like thing, upper border of eye, lower border of eye. Just you can see here upper border of eye is the two folds. These folds are vestibular folds, and the lower border of eye, you can say these are two folds. That folds are vocal folds. So vestibular folds, one pair of vestibular folds, one pair of vocal folds. Now you are seeing here in this position, but in anatomical position it will be just like this. So the folds are basically present anteroposteriorly. Anteroposteriorly the folds are present. So we can see vocal folds and vestibular folds. Vocal folds and vestibular folds. You know, vocal folds are very important. These are the vocal fold. It is basically the upper thickened border of the cricovocal membrane, and there is one muscle in it, that is a vocalis muscle, and this vocal fold is very important and different from vestibular fold, because you know this vocal fold is responsible for our production of voice. When the expired air come here from the larynx, and that during that time there will be vibration of this vocal fold, and that produces sound. These vocal folds are very important to ENT surgeons, because they quite often they see the vocal fold by laryngoscopy. There are two types of laryngoscopy there: direct and indirect laryngoscopy. In indirect laryngoscopy, one laryngeal mirror is placed like this in oropharynx, and by that, that is the mechanism of periscope, we can see the patient is asked to produce a sound like E, and by that vocal fold is moved, and that movement of vocal folds are seen in the and that is a laryngeal inlet. It is very important. When we will go to ENT OPD, you will see that. And these vocal folds are pearly white in color in indirect laryngoscopy, whether the vestibular folds are reddish in color, and the movements are more in case of vocal folds. And this vocal folds is different from vestibular fold in another way. First of all, the structure or the epithelial lining is different in vocal fold, that is a stratified squamous epithelium in case of vocal fold, whereas the most of the part of larynx, as you know, it is a part of respiratory pathway, it will be lined by that is pseudostratified columnar epithelium, ciliated pseudostratified columnar epithelium. So that is and it is again histologically one important thing is there is no submucosa in vocal fold, So we have made one vestibular fold, and that is one pair of vestibular fold and one pair of vocal folds. So by the presence of these, the total laryngeal cavity can be divided into three parts. The part of the cavity above vestibular fold is known as the vestibule of larynx. You can make it here. Its posterior wall is a bit deficient. Its anterior wall is mainly formed by the posterior surface of epiglottis. This is vestibule of larynx. Next, just at that is the in between, there is a median sagittal fissure or a gap in between the two vestibular folds. If the two vestibular folds are like this, there will be a fissure or gap in between two vestibular folds. That fold is named as rhima vestibuli. These are two vestibular folds. So if it is in anatomical position, the fissure in between these two vestibular fold, median fissure, sagittally placed fissure, is named as the rhima vestibuli, and the fissure in between two vocal folds, that again is a median and sagittally placed fissure like this, that is named as rhima glottidis or glottis. This is very important, rhima glottidis, or this is glottis. So the epiglottis got its name, it is above glottis, epi means above, so epiglottis is above glottis, and glottis means rhima glottidis, which is the median fissure in between two vocal folds. Now if we go below, the lower part of the cavity, so this part of the cavity is named as the subglottic part of larynx. So what about, there is a small part in between vestibular fold and vocal fold, there is a small part. This part of the laryngeal cavity is named as the ventricle or sinus of larynx. From here we can go upwards like this. I think you can make out here. We can go upward from like this from the sinus of larynx, and we can go to the saccule of larynx, that is a diverticulum of this part, and this saccule is having, that mucus glands which by its action. It can lubricate the vocal fold because by its oil can mechanism. So we can see here the subdivision of the cavity. First of all, you have to find out the folds, vestibular folds and vocal folds. So above vestibular folds, this is the vestibule of larynx. Below vestibular folds, you can see here the vocal folds. In between vestibular folds and vocal folds, this is the ventricular sinus, and below vocal folds, that there will be, this is the infraglottic or subglottic part of the larynx. And what about the other two areas? That is the rhima vestibuli in between two vestibular folds, and rhima glottidis, which is in between two vocal folds. Now we can see here that I am not going in detail of the anatomy, because we know that in the vestibule, this is the mucous membrane you are seeing. This is the mucous membrane lining of the cavity. Just outside the mucous membrane, there will be presence of that intrinsic membranes, fibroelastic membranes. So in the vestibule, there will be presence of quadrate membrane, and in the subglottic part, there will be, just outside this mucous membrane, there will be presence of cricovocal membrane. So what is important? Quadrate membrane, upper thickened border is named as aryepiglottic fold. Lower thickened border of quadrate membrane is nothing but the vestibular fold. Cricovocal membrane, upper thickened part is named as it is nothing but the vocal fold. It is the vocal fold. So we have come to the end. Now we can see here from the anterior aspect, one thing I should show you, that just above the thyroid cartilage, you can palpate here the hyoid bone, the U-shaped hyoid bone. You can palpate here. So upper border of thyroid is attached to the hyoid bone by thyrohyoid membrane. And from anterior aspect, you can see here, this is thyroid cartilage, this is the anterior lamina of cricoid. So in this part, thyroid and cricoid, I think you can make here, there is muscle fibers here. This is nothing but muscle. What muscle? This is one of the intrinsic muscles of larynx, that is cricothyroid. This is very important. Though it is an intrinsic muscle of larynx, but it is visible from external aspect. We will go to the muscles in short a bit later. Now all these things we should make out in this viscera also. So this is epiglottis, I have told you. So this will be the position. This is the posterior lamina of cricoid. So here there is, you can see here, I think this is the arytenoid cartilage. I don't know whether you are able to see that or not. This is the cut section of the arytenoid cartilage. So here this is the aryepiglottic fold of one side. Now if we go within the larynx, there are two folds. Well, you can make out here well. This is the vestibular fold, and the lower one is the vocal fold, which is a bit pierced in middle, though you can make out clearly. Vestibular fold, the upper one, the lower one is the vocal fold. So what about the cavity? So part of the cavity of larynx above the vestibular fold, this part is the vestibule of larynx. Below the vocal fold, this is the subglottic part of the larynx, and if we are in this part, so we are in the rhima glottidis, because the opposite side vocal fold is already cut. So we are in the rhima glottidis. If we place our forceps here, and if we place our forceps here, we are within the rhima vestibuli. In between these two, the part that you can see here, the mucous membrane is going a bit laterally here, in between these two folds. So here, this is the sinus of larynx, or the ventricle of larynx. So in the viscera, I think this is all about, we can see here. Now in addition to that, we can make out again the pyriform fossa. Now if we palpate, if we see the thyroid cartilage here, the lamina of thyroid cartilage, we can palpate here the posterior surface of the lamina of thyroid cartilage, and you can see the thyroid cartilage, though it is a cartilage of larynx, but it is forming the boundary of pyriform fossa, which is the part of pharynx. So this is pyriform fossa. The lateral boundary of pyriform fossa is formed by the inner aspect of the lamina of thyroid cartilage, and its medial border of pyriform fossa is formed by the aryepiglottic fold. So these are the lateral channels of or foot channels and the pyriform fossa. So we can go to the muscles. Now we can go to the muscles here. Now you can see muscles of larynx, they are usually divided into two. One is the intrinsic muscles and another one is the extrinsic muscles of larynx. Already you have got these two terms in tongue, I think. So intrinsic muscles, what are those? The muscles are at the both end of these muscles are attached within the larynx. And what about extrinsics? The muscles are the one end of these muscles are attached to outside the larynx, either it will be in pharynx or in the other parts. So there are the extrinsic muscles are some of the infrahyoid group of muscles. Those are sternothyroid and thyrohyoid muscle that will be attached to the thyroid. As you get the thyroid name in between, so that will be attached to thyroid cartilage. So those infrahyoid group of muscles are within extrinsic group of muscles of larynx, and some muscles of pharynx, that is what are those? That you know that that is the inferior constrictor muscle. It has two parts, one thyropharyngeal part, one cricopharyngeal part. That both part will be attached to thyroid and cricoid cartilage of larynx, and to the posterior border of thyroid cartilage there will be attachment of some longitudinal muscles of pharynx. Those are the pharyngeus muscle, that is the palatopharyngeus, salpingopharyngeus and the stylopharyngeus muscles. So those are extrinsic muscles, and what are its function? Those basically they help in movement of larynx during the time of deglutition. They help in the movement of larynx as a whole. Now what about intrinsic muscle? Those are very important. We can make out, this is a very easy version of this thing. The muscles can be divided into acting on laryngeal inlet and some muscles that acts on vocal fold. First of all, acting on laryngeal inlet, I have shown you that from arytenoid to epiglottis there is one muscle, aryepiglotticus muscle. This muscle is very important. When it is contracted, it will oppose the two apex of two arytenoid to the epiglottis, and it will close the laryngeal inlet, which is very, very, very important. And thyroepiglotticus muscle, that is again going from the thyroid cartilage to epiglottis. It is helping in the opening of laryngeal inlet a bit, though mostly this is a passive action. Okay, so all these two intrinsic muscles are acting on laryngeal inlet. What about the muscles acting on vocal fold? Some muscles goes from cricoid to thyroid, that is cricothyroid muscle. It is the tensor of the vocal fold. Tensor of the vocal fold. What do you mean by tensor of vocal fold? If you see one instrument, you can see in guitar we can increase the tone of, if we increase the tone of one wire, then or one string, then there is modification of the pitch of that sound of the instrument. So there will be pitch modulation of the voice when there will be this muscle, cricothyroid muscle is acting. And what about the other muscle from cricoid to arytenoid? There are two muscles, posterior cricoarytenoideus and lateral cricoarytenoideus. And the posterior cricoarytenoid is the abductor, only abductor of vocal fold. As it is the only abductor of vocal fold, so it is the safety muscle of larynx, okay. And beside that, we can see here from arytenoid to arytenoid, there are two arytenoideus muscle. One is transverse interarytenoideus, another one is oblique interarytenoideus muscle. So lateral cricoarytenoid and these two interarytenoid muscle, they are the adductors of vocal fold. And from thyroid cartilage to arytenoid, we can see there are thyroarytenoideus muscle and vocalis muscle, and these two muscles again are acting in the tensing and the tension and the relaxation of vocal folds. This is merely a very small, simple representation of the muscles, and I want to just add, what about the nerve supply of the larynx? The only muscle that is all intrinsic muscles of larynx. Just mind that, all intrinsic muscle. In case of tongue, you say all muscles of tongue supplied by something, and except something that is supplied by something. I am not going to detail into the detail of that. But here in case of larynx, you have to say all intrinsic muscles of larynx are supplied by recurrent laryngeal nerve, except the cricothyroid, which is supplied by external laryngeal nerve. I have shown you the cricothyroid is, though it is an intrinsic muscle, but it is visible from external aspect. Just be that it should remind you that as it is a muscle which can be seen from external aspect, so supplied by external laryngeal nerve, which is a branch of superior laryngeal, branch of vagus. So these are the muscles, and in addition to that, I have told you the other parts, the recurrent laryngeal, related to recurrent laryngeal nerve. There are some applied part of the larynx which is very, very, very important, related to hoarseness, paralysis of vocal fold. You should go through the watershed line which are present in the vocal fold. So I think that is sufficient, and thank you very much for your patience here.